What's something you've experienced that most people never will? When I was 17, my parents died in a car crash, leaving me to raise my 4-year-old brother Tommy alone. Child Services wanted to separate us. They said a teenager couldn't possibly care for a toddler. But I made a promise at our parents' funeral that I'd never let Tommy end up in foster care. I dropped out of high school, got my GED, and took 3 jobs: morning janitor at a gym, afternoon cashier at a supermarket, and night security guard. Tommy stayed at a cheap daycare while I worked. Every night I'd pick him up exhausted, but he'd run to me with drawings he made. "Look, this is us," he'd say, showing stick figures of 2 brothers holding hands. Those pictures kept me going on the hardest days. The first year was brutal. I learned to cook from YouTube videos, staying up late to practice making meals Tommy would eat. I watched parenting videos during my security guard shifts, taking notes on how to handle tantrums and bedtime routines. My friends stopped inviting me out. I couldn't afford babysitters anyway. One morning, Tommy got really sick. High fever, throwing up, completely limp. I rushed him to the ER at 3 a.m., still wearing my security guard uniform. The doctor assumed I was just the night babysitter and kept asking for his parents. When I explained I was his legal guardian, their faces changed. Suddenly, they were watching my every move, questioning everything. Social services started random checks at our apartment. They'd show up unannounced, inspecting everything. One worker found frozen dinners in our freezer and wrote in her report that I was failing to provide proper nutrition. They didn't care that I was teaching myself to cook between jobs. Tommy started having nightmares about our parents. He'd wake up screaming, and I'd hold him until he fell asleep. But one night, a neighbor heard him crying and called Child Services. They showed up at midnight demanding to investigate reports of screaming. I had to explain trauma counseling was too expensive on my salary. Things got worse when Tommy started kindergarten. His teacher called a meeting, concerned that he was too attached to me. She suggested he needed real parental figures instead of a brother playing dad. That night, I found Tommy hiding his daily drawings. "Teacher says it's weird that I draw you as my dad," he whispered. I nearly broke that year. Working 3 jobs, raising a kid, fighting social services, and dealing with judgy teachers, it felt impossible. But then Tommy got cast as dad in his school play. When asked why he could play a father so well, he said, "Because my brother showed me what great dads do." Everything changed when Tommy turned 8. I'd managed to get a better-paying job as a maintenance supervisor, and we finally moved to a nicer apartment. At his birthday party, Tommy made a speech that left everyone crying. He told his whole class how I'd given up everything to raise him, and that he had the best brother-dad in the world.